Oh
my God, you hear that thunder?
Yeah. All right, and now we have 73 people, so I'm just going to admit everybody, okay? Is it what time is it? Yeah.
59.
59. Okay, we have some people with cameras on. Can we turn the cameras off so we don't kill the bandwidth?
Yeah, we should.
Nothing personal, folks. We just don't want to crash the system. Wow.
Mm.
Okay.
Room will be starting shortly. Just hang tight.
Hi, Dr. Castro.
Hey, how are you?
Fine, thank you. How are you doing?
But I'm putting you on mute.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, no offense, everybody. We just don't want to crash the system, so we're going to turn everybody's cameras off and mute everybody. We'll use the chat board for Q&A.
You want things muted or not muted?
Muted, please.
Okay.
Yes, we'll be starting shortly. We're just admitting everyone in at this point. So we're at 119, I think, so far.
Farm labor. The administration has already stopped nearly all immigrations in the U.S.
Please mute your computer.
It's like anticipation. It's so quiet.
I know. We should have background music next time we do this next week.
Next time.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Like they do at rock shows.
That'd be cool.
Before the main act comes out. 303. Wow, a lot of people on. That's great.
I'm still admitting people.
Why am I the only one on visual?
Huh?
I said, why am I the only guest on visual?
You could turn off your video camera, okay?
If you want, there's gallery view, if you choose to use it. It's usually in the top right-hand side of your viewing screen. Usually by default, I think it's 49 people that you can see at one time.
It's great to see the roll call in the chat area, all the different colleges representing.
Yeah.
I think we have like 2 people from my college attending. I see Jen there though, so I feel better that someone from my college is here.
Oh, Middlesex.
All right.
Right. Good day.
Awesome, Middlesex.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Dave Lipton from Middlesex also.
Hello.
And I see my Essex in the house.
Right.
ACC rocks. All right.
Thanks, Middlesex.
Dallas. OCC. Rowan College of South Jersey.
I think we're going to do a virtual
50.
wave after. No, I'm kidding. No, that's at sports events. No.
Is this engaging students in a virtual environment?
Yes, it is.
Okay, great. Just wanted to make sure.
Should we get started? It's 5 minutes after. I think people still come in on the front end.
Oh, good for you.
What time is it? What time do we have?
3:05.
3:05.
Yeah, right now there's a lag in the waiting room, so we should be good.
Okay.
Hi, good for you.
Forgive my unprofessionalism. Who's supposed to start? Me or you, Leigh? I forgot already.
That's you, Jake. That's you. That's all you got, Marvin.
Okay. We're going to go ahead and we're going to be joining us on the front end, I think, as they log in and get through. But first of all, welcome everybody. Welcome to the first of many of webinars that we've put together in order to help strengthen and support all of you throughout the state in this temporary new normal. First, my name's Jake Farbman. I'm the Executive Director of your statewide Center for Student Success, located in the New Jersey Council of County Colleges. We're the state association that strengthens and supports the 18 community colleges throughout the state. Look at that handsome devil. And I especially want to thank all of you, again, for taking the time to be with us today, but really stepping up to the plate to continue to deliver exceptional education and services to our 325,000 students throughout the state. The adaptability, flexibility, professionalism, and commitment to the community college mission that you've all demonstrated throughout your careers, but especially now, is very much appreciated by all of us. And I'm just really proud to be associated with the community college mission. I'm a lifer. I'm a community college graduate, proud community college graduate from Salem Community College down in South Jersey. And I've had the opportunity to serve the community colleges for 20 years now at the council, last 2 years as Executive Director of Center for Student Success. So we've got a great presentation lined up for you today by the experts. I want to especially thank the leadership and members of the Distance Education Affinity Group. You've worked with a lot of these folks who've helped you construct your courses and get you to the point where you can deliver your instruction and services in an emergency remote type setting this semester. They've really stepped up to the plate with us, working with the center. You're going to hear some great tips from some of the representatives today. So next slide, I just want to do a few housekeeping items, if that's okay. So first, number one, if all of you are not on mute, if you can turn your audio on mute, that would be great. Just because we want to make sure we can hear the presenters. That's number one. Number two, if you can, turn your cameras off. It's not that we don't want to see you. We want to see you. We want to see your facial reactions. But the challenge is, as many of you know, as you've been doing these Zoom calls and webinars and whatnot, bandwidth is a hot commodity right now. And we just don't want to crash the system with 300 people, especially expected to participate. Please, if you have any questions, please type them into the chat function. You should see a chat button on the bottom of your screen. If you scroll your mouse, you'll see a chat button. It'll call up the chat room, which will be located on the right of your screen. We've got some folks who are going to pay attention to the staff, pay attention to the chat, and answer questions when it's time for Q&A. And finally, this webinar is being recorded, so we're going to make this available on the Center for Student Success website once it's published. We'll send that link out to you. We also have some resources on our Center for Student Success website that we're going to launch along with these webinars. This is the first in a series. We're going to be doing these every week at 3 o'clock. Some of the topics may be of interest to you, may not be of interest to you. That's fine. And the last thing I want to say before we turn it over to Dr. Bello-de Castro to get to the meat and potatoes of the presentation. We are looking to all of you. We could use your help. And that is, should any of you have a best practice or an innovation in how you are delivering your instruction in an online or remote environment that you would like to share with our colleagues throughout the state, or if your college is doing a superb job using this technology and other technologies in a remote online fashion for delivery of student services. You should have my email address with the link I sent you yesterday. Please email me, let me know who you are. I'll reach out to you, see if we can get you as to part of this into part of this webinar series. We want to share your best practices and innovations with everybody. And that goes to say the same with your colleagues. If you can spread the word to your colleagues that we are looking for folks, to share their best practices and innovations, and if they have that and how they're delivering their instruction online or remotely or student services online, please let us know. We have a few topics set up. I think we're good for the next 4 weeks, but we want to keep doing this for as long as we need to, again, to strengthen and support all of you. So that's all I'll say. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Bello-de Castro. Thank you all.
Well, thank you, Dr. Farman. So you were actually supposed to do the agenda too, but that's okay. I'll take care of it. So first, let me say that I'm doing triple duty over here. So I'll be presenting, I'm manning the weight room, and I'm also manning the slides. So if I seem a little distracted, I am. So on our agenda today, we're going to talk about the student, obviously, remote learning and online learning, the differences between the two, our checklist of best practices, virtually talking, resources, and Q&A. We need to embrace technology to make learning more engaging, because when students are engaged and they are interested, that's where learning takes place. So I'm a student, and these are some of the things that I hear.
Where do I start?
I didn't sign up for remote learning, or I want to go online learning again. No, wait a minute. I don't know the difference between remote, face-to-face. You guys are confusing me.
Where do I go?
What do I do? My professor's not answering me. My fellow colleagues, my students, my fellow learners are not responding to any of my discussion questions. What am I doing wrong?
How do I submit my assignment?
I don't have internet.
Is that on the syllabus?
So these are just some of what we have been hearing now for the past 3 to 4 weeks. And let me just introduce myself. I'm Dr. Leigh Bello-de Castro. I'm the Associate Dean of the West Essex Campus in Online Education for Essex County College. And I'm actually up here in West Caldwell, New Jersey, waiting for this storm. I think we lost the storm before, or hopefully it passed over us. But once again, we wanted to do this presentation or this series of presentations through the Distance Ed Affinity Group because the whole entire state, the nation, the globe, we're all in the same boat. And we wanted to support our faculty across the state with this series. So one of the things we wanted to discuss, because what a lot of us are hearing, what's the difference between remote learning and online education? So right now, we are in the throes, I should say, of emergency remote learning. And basically what we have done across the state, as every one of us in here knows, is we have been able to put all of our content up online due to the governor's mandate of all colleges being closed. So this is our current situation. So all of our traditional classes have moved to whichever LMS system that we are using. Now, each college uses a different LMS. Some are using Blackboard, some are using Canvas. We use Moodle. And it took some time for everyone to get their content up online, but every single one of us was able to do it. Synchronous lectures with our class time. So what we've done here at Essex, and I know a bunch of other colleges have done the same thing, is they've provided some type of synchronous technology. We here are using Zoom, others once again use Collaborate through Blackboard, others are using WebEx. And the use of these tools, it's so our students are not missing out on the lecture period of time. Now, the remote learning, or the differences, one of the differences, this does not meet the distance education best practices standards, okay? Once again, this was an emergency situation due to the pandemic. And in distance education, we're mandated by Quality Matters, by the Online Learning Consortium, and Middle States. There's a whole series of guidelines that we actually have to abide by in distance education. So some of the differences are in online learning or online education, we provide a combination of synchronous and asynchronous course activity, effective design practices, online activities, which I know have been included in our remote learning practices as well. Those online activities include the use of discussions, chats, additional videos, and assignments. Also some content assessments. And once again, I apologize, but I'm still admitting people. Content assessments as well. And we also, once again, we meet our Middle States requirements and our distance ed standards. And a lot of that has to do with the Carnegie units. And I know, Vivian, you know about the Carnegie units on how we have to meet our mandates of our virtual seat time.
Absolutely. And it's important because we want to make sure that the students are mastering the outcomes, but more importantly, we're not burdening them with too much work or not enough work.
Exactly. So those are just some of the few differences between what we have done through true distance education and what we're experiencing now within the state. Okay, and once again, I'm still adding people. So some of the principles guiding effective online education is, once again, we provide a combination of synchronous and asynchronous course activity. And once again, that synchronous activity is what we're doing now. We're communicating, it's live, it's in real time. Our asynchronous course activity includes our discussions, our assignments, and maybe that virtual chat at a point in time where students can still go back to it. Now, when we talk about online pedagogy, we're really looking through to explore, or students, we want them to explore. And when we say explore, we want them to do most of the work, okay? They're spending more time with the content, and by spending more time with the content online through reading and the discussions and going back and forth, they're able to grasp it a little bit more. When we talk about collaboration, that's through our interactivity, okay? And that's where the main difference is between the remote, once again, and the online. So these are just some of the different pedagogical practices that we abide by. Once again, assessments, and the assessments could be through the quizzes, through tests, which are mandatory. I know we here at Essex, we try to do, we do quizzes every week, you know, in our online courses. And the student role, now, once again, the student role in a true online course, and even in our emergency remote courses, as we've been calling them, the student role is, once again, they're to read, they're to participate in any way they possibly can. We want them to be a part of our Zoom discussions or our virtual lectures, and to give feedback to their peers, because that's also a part of the learning process in online education. Part of the faculty role, and I know Archana is going to get into it a little bit on the more granular level, but part of the faculty responsibility is to provide that timely feedback. They need to maintain that presence in the classroom. We've been recommending that our faculty go in every day. I know in online learning, distance education, we tend to go in every day as an online instructor and just kind of like move around. And we want that interaction with our students through, once again, through the discussions and timely grading of assignments. Because one of the things that we've been hearing a lot in our Distance at Affinity group when we chat every week, we have a call that goes on for about an hour and a half every week. And some of the things that we're hearing is that faculty are not grading on time, or they're not part of the discussion, and students are really looking for their grades. So we know and we understand that this is new to just so many people, and that's part of the reason why we're here today, is because we know it's hard on you, it's hard on the students, it's hard on the whole entire institution as a whole. So we're really just trying to make this much easier for our students, because our students do come first in any institution, and we want to make them, or we want to have them succeed and also to achieve their goals, not only successfully in the classroom, but also towards their ultimate goal of graduation. So now I'm going to turn it over to Archana, who is going to discuss with you our faculty checklist.
Hello, everybody. I'm Archana Bhandari, and I work at Hudson County Community College. I'm going to go into the best practices that we are recommending. If you can go to the next slide, please. The main glue that holds everything together online is communication. People underestimate just what impact communication has on students. It happens naturally in person because we are used to it for centuries, right? Even when you're just walking down the corridor or down the steps, you meet the student, you communicate. You may work extremely hard online and put an excellent course together, but without that timely, good communication, online students are lost and the effort is wasted. You don't want to have long emails or large communications, but you have to have strategic, frequent communications to keep your interest up, keep your student interest up in the course. This is probably the most important best practice. So setting the tone when you know, at the start of a class, making a welcome announcement, making that connection with students, post your introduction, post a picture of yourself, and hopefully you're smiling in it, because if you aren't, they're going to be scared of you. A brief bio is good. This helps students to actually connect with you. If you walk into a room and it's empty, or if you walk into a room and someone smiles and says hello, that's the difference. A welcome announcement acknowledges students. It creates that warmth. Your picture with a smile creates that warmth. It's easier to interact when you have a face to connect to and you know a little about your instructor. Students are more likely to be comfortable and reach out when needed if you have this set up from the beginning. Set up communication expectations. So when in a world you meet face-to-face, responses are immediate because you're talking, right? Online is different. You may not be there online all the time. So tell your students, this is when I get online, this is when I am going to reply to you, so that they don't wait endlessly and expect things that are not going to happen and become unhappy. They start reaching out to people who they shouldn't be reaching out to because they think you're missing. Talk about accessibility openly. There's a stigma attached to, saying like you've got a mental health problem or something. If you address it openly, that stigma just goes away. Students will be more likely to self-identify as needing help if you address it openly. You can set the tone right in the beginning. Share information. So there's a lot of information that you need to share with your students. How do you plan to run the course? If it's going to be synchronous, are you going to keep to the times that were advertised for the face-to-face class? What tools will the students need? How will they access them? Can you give some netiquette rules so that they can make their, prevent accidental rudeness, have a good experience in communicating with each other? Give an overview of assessments that you're going to be doing. How can the student get support? This is very important because support is in many ways critical to the success of the student. If they need LMS support, like if they don't know how to use the LMS, if they don't know how to use WebEx, whatever they need help with, who can they reach out to? IT, distance ed? Talk about any workshops you may have or orientations you might have available to them. Talk about financial help. Students today might be facing losing their job. If you have any kind of financial help allocated to your college for them, let them reach out to the right people. Ask students what they have access to. If they have phones, for example, that they're using, you might not want to use proctoring in an exam without testing it out. So that is very important. Ask them what they have. They might have mobile apps available to them that might help them do their class more successfully. Most of all, don't panic. If things go wrong, have an alternate backup low-tech plan. And if you are confident and don't panic, the students won't panic. Next slide, please. Keeping them engaged. So this is very important. You have to communicate with students. Weekly announcement is suggested, emails to them when needed. Students are also in the same unfamiliar land that you are, so reassure them. Keep them involved in the course. Keep your emails kind and warm. The tone of your emails will set the tone of your class. Online discussions and multimedia. You can use online discussions. This is a great tool for interactivity. It's going to be discussed in detail by the presenters following me. Use multimedia, use videos, websites. So that's not only just text to read, make a video yourself. Be adventurous. This is the time for it. The next thing is fostering success. So when you are online, students need detailed instructions. They need to know your expectations and get really rich feedback. They don't have your expression to go by. They don't have your reaction that they can just read, right? So you are going to be more explicit with your feedback. So how does one help students to be successful? You're doing much of the same things you do face-to-face, but in an online medium, and you are being very deliberate and detailed about it. Just don't forget to keep doing what you would do in a normal class. Give examples of good answers, bad answers, give examples of tests that you might have them taking. Don't have it graded. Let them play with the medium. Let them get familiar and comfortable. Make sure that students know what you expect. Rubrics are a great tool. Have question and answer sessions. This is very, very, very important. It leads to interactivity and encourages students to identify what they don't know. So if you're teaching a class and you're using WebEx, have a question and answer session after every main topic, every main learning outcome that you cover. Dig deeper into learning. Don't have to just skate on top. You can actually dig deeper by making time for critical thinking, using reflections. Let the students process all the information more deeply. You can have follow-up activities. And very important, be flexible. This probably will really lead to a lot of students being happy with you if you are flexible with them, recognizing that they are facing a really unusual time and many challenges just like you. They might have children at home. They might have a sick relative. Be flexible with the submission time. Be flexible with what you're doing. Be kind to each other. The last is simple is wise. There are so many online tools. It's easy to get lost in the online world. So keep it simple. Use the tools that you really talk to what you're doing, that fit in with your needs and the student needs. So keep it really simple. Keep a couple of tools and concentrate on using them and on the subject rather than the tool. So that is really, really key. The next person is going to go on next. So I'm going to just say, using these best practices will help the online experience for both you and the students to be more satisfying. And I'm giving it up to Vivian now, who's going to lead you in the next part. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I did see in the chat area that it's hailing in some areas and you cannot hear. So I'll speak as loud as I can without coming across as I'm screaming. So please stay safe. Please be mindful that we are recording this session and at a later time you'll be able to review it. Safety first. My name is Vivian Lynn and I am the Dean for eLearning from Ocean County College, and it's a pleasure to meet you all virtually. Next slide. So virtually talking. Now I purposely paused. Wasn't that a long time? When you're talking about speaking with students virtually, just that pause. When it comes to online learning, remote learning, it's instantaneously. The students want an immediate response. They want to communicate with you yesterday. So we're going to talk about making content a little more engaging and some tools that you can use to share with your students. Next slide. So I want you all to be clear that, and take this in consideration, everyone that is communicating with you virtually is not on a desktop. Your students may be on a tablet, a smartphone, their television, a laptop, a Kindle, Chromebooks, and many students are talking to you directly through their gaming consoles. That's how they're showing up each and every day, logging in, playing a game, talking to you, playing a game, talking to you. But when we talk about virtually, it's really not being in the same presence. As you can see here, we're building this human presence, virtually able to communicate and hopefully effectively to you. But I want you to understand, as my colleague said earlier, when you're typing and communicating virtually, it's really difficult and challenging for someone to read your body language, understand your tone. So your goal is to be clear and concise and take your time. Now, regardless of the LMS, whether it's Desire to Learn, Moodle, Blackboard, Canvas, you have all the elements and the features really to communicate with your students actively. You also have a right to add third-party software, which my colleague will share some freebies for you. And also, if you have the money, you can work with your IT department and integrate and get the LTI to use some other tools. One feature I want to talk about quickly, and I think it's important, and I know everyone knows what a discussion board is. It's a discussion forum, or is it a message board? What it is a place where you leave a message, mostly in text, you post, and you're looking for someone to reply to your comment. Now, in a virtual hub, users discuss the information, opinions, resources, etc. It's a personal storyline. So what story are you telling the students? Are the students fending for themselves and having dialogue and communicating and mastering the subject? I've had some overzealous students try to take over my online courses in the past. Are you facilitating your discussions and being that advocate and poking here and there? When it comes to a great discussion, one of the rules is, what are you going to try to do in terms of opening up the dialogue? First thing I want to tell you, consider Bloom's taxonomy. Are you going for level 1, 2, all the way to 6? But the reality of it is it's important that you provide the guide for the students to master the outcomes. So how do you go about that? There's different types of discussions, and I want to share them with you. I'm not going to go into detail. You can explore, probe facts and basic knowledge. You can challenge your students, assumptions and interpretations. You could do rationale questions and ask them to give you comparisons and ideals and support what they're saying. You can do diagnostic questions, probe the motives and ask them to support their cause. Action, give you proof of what they're talking about and share the source. How about cause and effect? The relationship between the ideals and the actions. Hypothetical questions are my favorite. Case studies are my favorite as well. And then come up with a summary. But more importantly, when you start a discussion, make sure you continue the discussion. Make sure you add questions along the way. If you put one question out there for 1 week, what's going to happen to that discussion? No one's going to be talking virtually, because as I started, I took a moment to pause, and it was a lifetime when it comes to virtual. So how do you make your content pop? I want to scream, but I'll just use my hands. Don't use caps, don't use red. All these things that I want to say that designers will tell you time and time again. You want to use warm colors, greens and blues, and talk nicely to them. And because think about it, when you were a college student, colleagues, didn't you hate those red papers? They hate them too when you're reviewing and looking at it. So some things you can do is, why don't you just bold your text, underline your text, be creative when you select your font selection. Leave the fancy fonts to print. You're not printing, okay? You're just typing, and if you want to put some emphasis, stick with the basics. Now let's talk about presentations. We're using PowerPoint, the basics, but you can make PowerPoints more engaging. You can make them talk. You can put some animation in there. Or Google Docs, or Visio, or Articulate, or Storyboard. There's all different softwares that you can do to present to your students. Also, how about audio? Do I have any fans that listen to Audible books? I listen to them all the time. Do I have any dinosaurs that still listen to the radio? I still listen to the radio. But the reality of it is, if you take the time to even say your lecture and upload that file, the students will listen to it on the run and enjoy learning on the run. Know that we have a lot of mobility going on, even though we're confined in the house. That student is learning with the TV on, playing Fortnite, and cooking, and also taking care of their husband and their children. So be creative when you do your lectures. You don't need anyone, just videotape it. Just take an audio. Host a webinar, that's what we're doing. All LMS has some sense of webinar that you can collaborate. No one has to come to your party. Just videotape yourself, have a good time, share it with your students. They'll look at it. You'll be able to track who came, who didn't come, but more importantly, once again, you're giving them a different option to learn. Clip art, a lot of it's free. You can get some free clip art and you can upload it in your discussions. However, make sure you tag it so individuals who have issues with accessibility know what that image is. So an image can speak magnitude, just like these two students on this presentation slide. Multimedia, all right, for all the gurus with Snagit, Adobe, Final Cut. Go ahead, it's time to showcase and show what you can do. If it's basic information that you want to provide, you can even use Jing. There's tons of multimedia, but what I want to say is keep it simple. And you can't put closed captions on it, you can't use it. I said it out loud. Because we need to understand that even though we want to push the envelope, let's be mindful that this is all about the students, and we've heard some of those students' concerns. Movie Land, there's good stuff out there, and YouTube, TED Talks, which has closed caption. That's a lesson within itself that you could share with the students. If you want to be creative, set up your iPod, get a tripod, and record yourself and share that lesson. Even if it's a lab, there's so much that you can do. Now, scholarly articles, you can upload them. eBooks, All this information is right at your fingertips that you can get directly from your library, and it's free. And so be mindful that as you're searching and looking for things, make sure you give credit to the scholars that provide it as well. And lastly, but most importantly, click and go to the internet. Take the students on a scavenger hunt to make sure that they complete the assignments. So that's my brief virtually talking. I'm hoping that you can take something away with you. But at the end, I want you to understand that everyone is not sitting at a desk. These students, most of them are learning on the go. Thank you. Next slide.
Hi, everyone. So I guess the next portion comes to me. I'm Mike Sullivan, Director of eLearning at Middlesex County College. I've had the pleasure of actually working at 2 county colleges here in the state, at Mercer as well. So I've gotten to meet a lot of you, which has been a pure pleasure. And I know, first off, I want to thank all of you for all the hard work you've been doing. I know it's not been easy. I know you've been kind of thrust into this, and you guys have been doing such a great job. And really, thank you for all that you're doing. Next slide, please. So I'm going to be covering a little bit about resources, basically, that you can use to help engage your students. So the picture here kind of, I guess, best emulates some students these days. I don't know if you've read some articles that are out there about, students being zoomed out, but, a lot of our students are attending multiple Zoom sessions daily, like some being 2 hours, 3 hours long for multiple classes. So some of the options that I'm going to provide hopefully will make things a little bit better, and you can supplement some of the information that I'm giving with some of your face-to-face time and saving you a little bit of a headache and heartache. Next slide. So some of the resources I'll be going over, most are free, if not all, and are easily embeddable in most of your rich content editors, like Blackboard. I've worked in Blackboard, I've worked in Canvas. So you can embed these in most of your editors in there. And so, definitely take advantage of it. And some of these can kind of encompass discussions, they can encompass polling, as well as interactivity. So next slide. My part's really short, so. So as we were talking in the discussion area, yeah, Flipgrid is a great tool for those for discussions. In this day and age, I can tell you at Middlesex, we have about 7,000 students that have downloaded the Canvas app and are actively using it. And that says a lot because, well, our students are mobile. Well, in this case here, instructors can actually, instead of using the boring discussion board that's in Canvas, I loathe it pretty much. I don't like it. It's not good. I mean, you can add video, you can add audio, but it just needs something to pop. And the cool thing with Flipgrid is you can, you as yourself as an instructor, you can pose a topic using your cell phone if you want, or mobile device, whatever, and record whatever topic you want covered. Maybe you want to ask students about something that you're covering that aligns to your goals and your outcomes. And then, this makes it more personal. Students see your face, they get to see and interact with you. And then the students can actually respond with the video, with their mobile device, and respond to each other, as well as, you can give feedback from there. Students have usually about 5 minutes with Flipgrid per each topic. So the cool thing is that, in this day and age, most of our students are mobile, if not all. And, I don't know if any of you are familiar with TikTok, but it's like a TikTok generation where students love posting videos of themselves. They're very, I hate to say it, narcissistic, but that's being nice. Even my daughter, my sons, they love it. So, I don't think they'll be shy as far as posting up a video about themselves. Definitely take advantage of it. Like I said, Flipgrid is a great tool. It's free. And then I know there is an LTI, at least for Canvas. I don't know for, I'm sure there is one for Blackboard and any other Moodle as well, any other learning management system. So definitely take advantage of it. It will make your discussion board pop. It'll make it more enjoyable. Setup, it takes a little bit of know-how, but there are tons of YouTube videos out there to kind of show you and guide you as far as how to set it up, how to interact, and go from there. Next slide, please. Can Flipgrid be embedded in discussions in Canvas? Well, actually, Flipgrid, it's its own LTI almost. So you can actually do Flipgrid on the left-hand side in your menu for Canvas, in your course menu, and you can integrate it that way. I do know it can be integrated in a page as well. So there are different ways, not necessarily discussions, but you can do like a manual grade for that. Could be something we can touch on later on for if a learning tool interoperability. So that's kind of the tools that or building blocks with Blackboard. Those are different kinds of tools where you will actually be able, you can kind of integrate different tools like Flipgrid, like VoiceThread, like hypothesis, like, oh geez, what else? There's a whole bunch of different things you can use. Yep. So, you know, another different option is polling to keep your students kind of engaged, to see, you know, if they're getting the content that you're covering. A great tool that I know, like my kids use, and I know that is used at Middlesex, is Kahoot, even in face-to-face courses. Well, Kahoot's a great mobile tool where you can pose a question and students can answer, and it keeps track of who was first, who was second, kind of gamifying it, making it who can get on the leaderboard. It's a great tool to use. And then there's also Google Forms. I am a huge fan of Google Forms. You know, it can be integrated. All of these have embeddable codes usually, where you can just sit there and go into your rich content editor. And if you click on the HTML button, usually it provides a code. I know from Google Forms, if you click share, you'll have like those two brackets where you can actually grab the code and put it into your HTML editor. But in this case with Google Forms, you know, you can survey students, you can find out what the muddiest point is, where they're having problems. You can touch on something, you know, you can pre-assess students as far as what kind of knowledge they might have, pre-knowledge they might have on something that you're covering. Also, you know, even to humanize it a little bit, you can ask them, okay, what are you currently binging throughout your quarantine? Are they watching Tiger King? Hey, I can't get enough of it. Joe Exotic is my man at this point. But you know, there's different things you can do. You can survey from your students. Okay, where, you know, what topic gave you the most trouble? What can I do to fix? You know, maybe how can I make things better in the course? Maybe, and I hate to say it, I am very humble, very, you know, humility is great. What am I, not necessarily what I'm doing wrong, or how can I make things better for you, make things easier for you? I find Google Forms is a great way to kind of convey that information. You can do a lot with Google Forms. I know Microsoft Forms has a lot too. We are a Microsoft shop, so I'm still just old tried and true Google Forms. You can do a lot with it. So next slide. So as far as interactivity, there's a couple different things out there. I know there's H5P, h5p.org. We have it at Middlesex. You can basically, instead of relying on the instructional design group and eLearning, we kind of push it out, at least, this can be accessed for free as well from other people, but you can actually put the onus on yourself. You can work on content, create content on your own. H5P, you can create interactive presentations that have videos, that have hotspots, that have different kind of areas that, you know, matching, different little things that you can do. I mean, if you ever go to the page and you go through, it's just a plethora of different things you can add within your course or even link out to. Like I said, it's free. I think if you can just link out to if there's any content that you create, but you know, we actually have it where we have it embedded into Middlesex. But it's a really nice tool that you can use. There's so many different things you can do. You can even do branching scenarios. Really great tool to kind of engage your students, to have fun, to do games, different things like that. Another big thing too is Quizlet. Quizlet is, my kids even use it. Basically, you can take a whole bunch of information, and what Quizlet does, it kind of converts everything around, where you can make it flashcards, you can make it a game, you can do matching, you can do different things, and it automatically does all that for you. And I know that it does have embed codes as well, where it is free for, you know, each educator, you know, not a school-wide license, but educators can use it. And you can pose different kind of quiz materials in there to help reinforce information that you're covering. Quizlet, I know, at least in Canvas, there is, you can actually add it in your, Canvas admins can add it into your rich content editor, where you can actually embed a quiz, I know, in Pages, and I think as well as even discussion board. So Quizlet's a great tool that you can use to help kind of, you know, get students going, to hammer on the content that you're providing. It could be maybe terminology, it could be maybe medical term, it could be vocab, it could be whatever. Quizlet's a great tool to use. I highly recommend it. So definitely take a look at that. And then next area, next slide. Another great tool is Edpuzzle. I know H5P does this as well. You can actually you can take YouTube videos and you can actually add quizzes to your videos. So maybe if there's a certain point that's being hammered on, or you want students to pay attention to a certain part of a video to see if they got material that's going on in the video, you can actually quiz them on it. You can actually give them multiple choice questions. You can give them essay questions. You can give them open-ended, which is pretty cool. Where we are right now, I know where we're using at Middlesex, we have Studio, where we actually can do quizzing on videos and everything that are created from faculty or added into from YouTube. So as I was saying, you can do videos that you've done on Screencast-O-Matic. You can do videos that you've capture from YouTube, or even videos that you upload yourself. I know with Mac, you have access to QuickTime. You can record yourself, put it up there, you have iFilm, whatever, and then you can actually upload the video and then put it into Edpuzzle. And then from there, you can add any kind of assessment that you want. It's not necessarily tied to any kind of grade book, but at least you can kind of get feedback. It'll provide you feedback as far as what students are clicking on and so on and so forth. So, you know, I highly recommend it. Again, also H5P has kind of interactive videos as well. I don't know if there's any other tools out there, but yeah, you can definitely make videos a little bit more fun, a little bit more engaging, and make sure students are kind of hitting on points that you want them to hit on, that you're trying to cover to get them closer to the goals of your course or lesson or module. So, you know, those are just a few different things without going and taking over huge copious amounts of time, but those are a few different things that you can kind of enable within your course that are free, you can embed and take advantage of. So yeah, this information will probably be posted up. Jake's probably going to post this up where you can get that. And then I'm sure in future sessions, we'll probably cover on a whole bunch of different tools that are out there that more people can use as well. So that's kind of my spiel, I think.
It is.
Right.
Okay, so one of the things we also wanted to do is provide you with some additional readings and resources. So, and once again, this entire presentation, and I believe the PowerPoint, will be online on the site, right, Dr. Farman? I know you're on mute. But
Sorry, yeah, correct. We'll have everything up as soon as we get the webinar recording from the cloud. We'll post everything to our website, our Success Center website. We'll send that link out to everybody who are SVP'd. And please check your spam folder too. I know some of you got it, some of you didn't get the email. It went to your spam. Forgive us. This is our first one. We're working out all the kinks and everything, but we'll have this. We'll be a well-oiled machine by next week. I promise you.
Right.
so in terms of the additional readings, what we provided for you is the difference between emergency remote teaching and online education. What students are doing is remote education and it's not online. Effective online pedagogy, which is a fantastic site by ASU. So please take a look at that, and also how to become a better online teacher. Now, once again, we know that this is an emergency remote situation, but a lot of the principles are the same, and really it's all about our student engagement. Once again, each institution is doing something just a little bit differently, but we're all doing the same thing. And I mentioned it earlier, it's all about the student success in their classes, and we're all kind of in this together. And as Dr. Farbman said, we are planning on doing once a week or more of these every single week, because the distance education affinity group, we know how difficult this has been on so many people. So we really wanted to take this opportunity, and we are going to open this up for Q&A. And I know my colleagues, my wonderful colleagues, were manning the chat line. So I can't see the chat line right now. So if you guys can start, and hopefully we can answer some questions for you.
I just want to follow something up really quickly. You know, as Leigh has said, we only touched the surface. We want to do something granular today. And so we appreciate the text, the resources that you've shared, because it's important. Like emojis came through, and I saw we Go Animate. There's so many different tools that are readily available. The wonderful thing about us on this webinar, it's New Jersey, it's a community college, and there's a connection. The things that you're hearing is reputable, it's been vetted, and you can trust it. So I think that's very important. Someone had posted that they provide speech, they have a speech class, and the students need to work in groups, and what can they utilize? And I'll take a stab, and please jump in, Michael. There's one software that I really do like. They have a free version, and there's a version that costs money. It's VoiceThread, where you have an opportunity where you can record what you're saying. It integrates directly into most of the LMSs. And also it integrates directly into the gradebook. What it also does is it helps with academic integrity. You'll know who that student is, you'll see them, they can video, they can do audibles, they can upload their presentation. But I've used that in the past for speech classes, and I found it to be very informative and effective. Michael, do you want to share something else for a speech class for resources or
Oh, gee. Yeah, I mean, I know working with speech classes, I know that there have been some cases where some mandates where, there's might be, say, recording yourself with, I guess you can't do 5 people in a room. Well, you might be able to record your family in the room of you giving a speech, possibly. And it depends on what the instructors kind of mandate, but, there are different tools out there. Yeah, you can use, you can use, I'm drawing a blank right now.
We're using Flipgrid. So
Flipgrid, yeah, Flipgrid is really good.
Very popular.
Hmm.
Yeah.
You only get 5 minutes though, I think.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's right.
Hmm.
There was another question. Can you discuss academic integrity regards assessment, remote and online? Absolutely, we'll add this to the list. Something else came through. How will they be notified? Email blast will go out. Leigh, can you talk about in terms of distribution so we can inform everyone moving forward with the topics?
So the topics, I believe next week we're doing a series on assessment. And then the following week we'll be doing, I believe, Zoom Collaborate and WebEx functionality. I think Jake is doing, I think we're going to prepare that entire schedule. So this team that you see here is part of the core group of Distance Ed Affinity group members that have taken the ownership, so to speak, under the direction of Dr. Farbman, to kind of, facilitate this entire process. So we're if you have suggestions of what you would like for us to present on, or if you have people in your own institution that would like to present, please forward those names and topics to Dr. Farbman. I know, and Jake can correct me if I'm wrong, we're also going to be doing a student life and development series as well, where this will be the same type of webinar where institutions can showcase how they're keeping their students engaged outside of the classroom. I know here at Essex, there's some great things that we're doing virtually. They're doing a virtual cafe, with our students. So I think, that's also important to showcase what's happening outside of the classrooms to keep our students engaged and within the entire college community.
Correct. And one other thing too is that we're also going to be working with our statewide workforce consortium and our senior continuing education officers, because there are needs for webinars, professional development, support on that side of the house as well, the non-credit and the customized training side of the house as well. So many of you may moonlight and do some work on the side in the non-credit space. So we'll be doing that as well.
Okay. Another thing came through, I guess another topic. I guess want to encourage you, if there's a topic you're interested in, as my colleagues indicated, please type it in. One came through about chemistry and labs. We do have some experts that teach chemistry. I'm not that person. However, they'll be able to share with you best practices, and that's something that we can do. So once again, we want to encourage you to type in any future webinars you'll like to see. And in the future also, we'll do a survey.
Yeah, I think a survey would be really good.
Yes, get some feedback.
And I know we have had discussions also about creating, divisional kind of topics. So chemistry, biology, physics. I know that was a hot topic in our meeting about 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
So there was some discussion about pulling in chem biophysics faculty members to actually present a workshop on that as well, or a webinar on that as well. So we will be putting out an entire schedule of events, basically, real soon.
And I'm looking at the discussions, the chat. Yes, we did cover a lot of information, and I thank you for your transparency in terms of face-to-face. A lot of you are not familiar with these tools, and yes, we plan to highlight them, to go in depth. We just wanted to kind of give you
Gloss over.
Yeah, give you a premiere. You can go out, please go to those sites and take a look of some of the things that we discussed. but more to come, and we'll be able to provide. Yes, we will not forget nursing. I do see that.
Yeah, nursing rocks.
Yes, ESL teachers. So
BSL as well, yep.
yes, and let's be honest. We have experts in all the community colleges throughout the state of New Jersey, and we will be in touch. And I want to say this presentation is exclusive to our own. And the best practice is sharing the information so we can be better than what we are.
Yeah, and I think part of the reason why we started off with student engagement is, once again, in our affinity group meeting, I guess it was about the week after everyone went to remote online instruction, I think all of us were saying, are you guys getting these emails of what to do? In the panic that really set in from a lot of our traditional faculty members, and I see everybody shaking their heads. I mean, so this for us was priority, just to give you a overview of what you could possibly do in this new remote teaching environment. It's new for everybody. It's new for a lot of people, and we wanted to make you feel more comfortable really with doing it. And hopefully we were able to ease your fears a little bit with the student engagement piece of it. So, and we know we couldn't get to everything, but there'll be more coming.
I know one thing, if you guys are, interested enough to come to this webinar, you probably are the better teachers anyway. And it's just a matter of changing your expertise from the face-to-face to going remote, using the same things, being warm, being kind, being interactive, but how to do it online. That's all you're doing, you're translating.
Yep.
For engagement. For the rest, for the labs, I can't say the same. It will be different.
Labs are tough.
We're all having a hard time with the labs, just so everybody here knows.
Yes, we all are, yes.
And we'll get there. We're not sure if we're still going to have remote. There's another question in the fall that, in terms of those mandates, they come directly from the governor's office.
Yes.
Okay.
Right. One thing, just for everybody before we call it a webinar, call it a session, call it a class, whatever nomenclature you'd like to use. Thank you all again for taking time to be with us today. We'll get this webinar up as soon as possible, within 24, 48 hours, with some resources. We'll get the PowerPoints up also, so you can click through to those links and get some of the information that our presenters put together. But we're looking at this in 3 buckets as far as how to provide some resources to all of you and your colleagues. One, as Leigh mentioned, general overview, introductory type primer of these are some of the tools that we can use to strengthen what we're doing now. That's category 1, and this webinar falls within category 1. Category 2 is discipline specific. What do we do for chemistry? What do we do for public speaking? What do we do for English 101? What do we do for algebra? That type of stuff, discipline specific. And then category 3, which we're going to have to do a few of these webinars before we get to category 3. Category 3 is great. What comes next? And what do we mean by that? We mean we're in this new norm now, temporarily could be another month, could be another 6 months. We're in this new norm now, temporarily. And what are we using now that's strengthening what we do? And how can we carry that over when we do get back to some semblance of normal? How do we integrate these technologies, these tools, these practices that we've implemented, make us even better when we're delivering face-to-face instruction? Or we do more hybrid interaction? So really, it's how can we use what we're doing now to build momentum to be even better when we do get back to some semblance of normal? So those are the 3 buckets we're thinking about as far as how we do this going forward with these webinars. And as I said at the very beginning, if you folks have ideas for topics, if any of you want to lend your expertise, please let me know. We'd be more than happy to feature you and to share your expertise and your wisdom with everybody. And with all of that, I'll say thank you once again and defer to my colleagues on the line who are actually the content experts, and just thank you all, and we'll see you again real soon.
Thank you so much. There was another question came through, and it was in regards to discounts. As educators, there's always discounts available. We asked for Snagit. I bought Snagit personally. It was 30% off.
Yeah, I bought Respondus, Camtasia, and Creative Cloud for the year, for 1 year. Don't go, then they ding you a 40% increase the second year.
Yes. So And I think we have captured most of the questions.
I just want to say hardware also has discounts. Most companies, including Apple, have at least 10 to 20% discount.
Yeah, but the key is make sure you go through your online department or, your distance education department or however your institution is set up to acquire these things or to purchase, because we do belong, all of the county colleges belong to the consortium, and we do get consortium pricing.
Yep.
Upon, depending upon what it could possibly be. So we do recommend that you go through, someone like one of us here or your IT department, whoever really coordinates that effort. Okay. All right. So are there any more questions, Vivian? Or?
Let me see. No, wait, I'm sorry. Oh my goodness. Okay.
I always thought we need to do more mimic in person into online. How can we explore the power of technology to go bigger, better, more effective?
Always has to enhance pedagogy. You can't have that, the shiny car syndrome. It always has, Charlotte, how are you? Yeah, you definitely, it doesn't always have to be bigger, better, but, just as long as you're adhering to your goals and your outcomes and it helps get you there, not necessarily, you're doing something just to do something because it's cool, but that's always been my take.
Like I said, simple is better and wiser. Just use what you really need to teach your class, because it's not only you involved, it's your students. And you want to leave it as simple as possible, as effective as possible to reach your learning outcome.
There's another question in terms of how do we assist the visually impaired? And I want to encourage you to work directly with your disability department at your institution. There are tons, and maybe what we can do, Jamie is from OCC, is that would be a great discussion to have them present. There's many tools, features, and resources available and funding available to ensure that the students are able to participate in a remote as well as online.
Yeah, I know the best way. We work directly, actually our disabilities coordinator is actually one of our online education instructors as well. So, for us, that's the best person to really go through, especially in this time. I know at Essex, she has personally reached out to all of those students that are either that have IEPs. She reached out again to the faculty that she had reached out to at the beginning of the semester, and then she kind of did a double take back around again once we went into this environment. And then also to those students that are physically challenged. So I know we were trying to, whether it was obtain different software, computers, I know there were a couple different things going on, but I know she's been working with them directly, so.
Yes, our disabilities coordinator is also involved in our efforts. And what we have done is several courses. We have note takers in there now. And also we provide Ally, Blackboard Ally or Ally, whatever you want to call it, that provides different formats of this content of your course. In case a student needs it, they can self-serve.
Yeah, we have you do it at Middlesex.
Yes.
So more to come. I think we've captured everyone's questions. So thank you all. And this has been awesome. I appreciate it.
Thank you as well.
Thank you all for attending. I mean, I know there were some glitches here and there, but it was our first one. I think we did, it was okay. We had a great turnout too.
Yes. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. We'll see you again real soon.
Great.
See you soon.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, wow.
You want to hang on? Oh, we got to stop the recording.
Yeah, but I want to take a picture first.
Okay.
How cool is that? All right.
Is everyone still in or is it just us?
No, everyone's still here. Hold on. I kick everybody out. I don't want to kick everybody out because then I get rid of you guys. Where's the recording? Stop video. There it is. No, I don't want to end the meeting. I'm talking to myself. But Mike, you're going to edit everything, right?